Hello, you're watching TVP World Talks. I'm Jonasz Rewiński. Donald Trump's Board of Peace, initially conceived to ensure peace in Gaza, is hitting a stumbling block with a number of countries declining to participate. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk made it clear that the country will not be joining the board for now, despite friendly relations between Trump and Poland's President Karol Nawrocki. So why is the project so controversial, and why is Poland among the countries still holding back? Joining us now is Jacek, President of the Executive Board at the Institute of Public Affairs. Hello and welcome.
Good morning.
Welcome to TVP World. So let's begin by addressing the general issue. What do you think is the main controversy regarding this initiative?
I think that the main controversy was very clearly stated by Polish Foreign Minister Sikorski. He basically said that for Poland the key concern as far as international peace is regarded is the peace in Ukraine. So cessation of Russian aggression for Ukraine. So if President Trump really wants to convince Poland and other Europeans that he's serious about his peace efforts, he should bring about the end of the hostilities, as he promised during his election campaign and shortly after taking up office. While we see the increased Russian aggression, the attacks against civilians, I don't think that the idea that American administration is concerned about peace, especially peace in Europe, is very credible for both Polish politicians, but also for Polish publics at large.
Followers of Donald Trump would immediately respond that Trump has ended many wars. They would possibly point towards the geographically closest scenario involving Armenia and Azerbaijan, for example, and the deal concerning the corridor into the Nakhchivan exclave. Do you think that this argument would hold water, that Trump is aiming for peace? It's just that the Ukrainian conflict is proving to be more difficult to resolve than the others?
I think that once again, from our European and Polish perspective, what is happening in Ukraine is the most important measure of President Trump's intentions vis-à-vis global peace. And here we've seen President reaching many times to Vladimir Putin, giving him benefit of the doubt, to a lot of, say, surprise from the publics in Europe, putting red carpet in front of Mr. Putin.
And inviting him to the Peace Council,
yes,
to the Board of Peace
and
itself.
Inviting him to the Peace Council, the main aggressor who threatens not just Ukraine, but Poland and Europe. And from that point of view, the idea of Peace Council with members such as Putin or Lukashenko, who already agreed to join it, is not really very credible. So whatever happens in vis-à-vis Armenia and Azerbaijan, this is very important, of course, especially locally. What happens in Gaza, where the peace is very fragile and doesn't seem to work very well, by the way, is important. But for us, for our European perspective, really, we have to watch at Mr. Trump's relations with Mr. Putin. Once again, rather, for our taste, I think, too friendly and not very effective, in the sense that Russian attacks against Ukraine, against civilians, have increased during the Trump's presidency, and his constant threats to reduce or even withdraw completely any aid to Ukraine, including intelligence, are also not making his peace efforts very credible from European perspective.
From an official perspective, though, it seems like the refusal to join the Board of Peace for now, it's framed as an institutional issue. The Prime Minister said that this is the main reason. Would you say that this is what might be holding back other countries as well? Italy said they will not be joining because there are constitutional stumbling blocks to doing this. Can you tell us more about this in particular, especially in the light of the fact that there is apparently chemistry between Polish President Karol Nawrocki, who hails from a similar background, a conservative one, and despite of that, he did not make any hard and fast commitment towards joining, seemingly leaving this again to the question of constitutional procedures. So that has to be followed first.
I think that the Board of Peace was basically set up as an instrument of intervention in the Middle East to stop the Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza Strip, and this is its primary concern. Beyond that, it's not very clear what this board could actually do or could actually achieve, except for paying this entrance fee of $1 billion.
Some say it could displace the UN or become a competition to it.
Well, it looks like it's a long-term plan to displace the UN, and again, there is no European or Polish interest in doing so, even though we may be critical to what the UN is doing, for example, in the Middle East, in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It's still the only legitimate organization and in sense of creating international law. And I don't think that it's in anyone's interest, especially in Europe, to undermine this any further. Whereas President Nawrocki's attitude is that he would probably like to join this peace board because he claims to have some special relationship with Mr. Trump. But so far we haven't seen, let's say, any reciprocity towards these efforts by Mr. Nawrocki to build the relationship. I mean,
what reciprocity should we expect at this stage, though? Are you talking about with respect to the Board of Peace itself or in general?
In general, I don't see any tangible benefits from Mr. Nawrocki's attempts to build up his relations with the American administration. I think that, in fact, more effective efforts come from Mr. Sikorski, who established good working relationship with Marco Rubio and with some other American officials. And
he drew attention to the question of Shahed drones. He actually had one delivered to Congress earlier on in 2025, I believe, to just show the magnitude of the threat. Iranian drones being used by Russia against Ukraine. Now, my question concerning the participation in this board. Some people say, well, if such a board does exist, and if people like Viktor Orban, who are controversial in themselves, are there, shouldn't a representative of Poland be present as well, so that our voice is heard and that Donald Trump is not simply exposed to the narratives of some regional leaders who have different priorities, not to mention people like Alexander Lukashenko? Obviously.
Well, I think this looks, at this moment, the board looks like a club of authoritarian or populist leaders. I mean, with Mr. Lukashenko, Mr. Orban, who is also somewhere on the margin of European policy, especially in terms of foreign policy. We have the president of Kazakhstan, who is also well known for his heavy-handed approach to, let's say, civic liberties and democracy in his own country. I don't see any benefit to actually legitimize this effort and to join this club, because I don't expect the club to have any real role in, for example, persuading Mr. Trump and the American administration to follow such and such policies. I think that as we see now, the club's role will be rather to approve what Mr. Trump wants to do, rather than have a genuine discussion about politics.
So now some people say, well, if we don't want to sit next to the likes of Lukashenko or Putin, they are in the UN as well. And they are not only represented there, but Russia is on the Security Council, effectively parallelizing its activities with regard to our region. So would you say that perhaps this fact slightly reduces the strength of argument that joining this particular initiative would give legitimacy to authoritarians?
as I'm saying, United Nations is a crucial part of the current international order, whatever the American attitudes towards this organization is. This initiative is so far focused on a specific region, specific conflict, whose aims are not very clear, and which seems an instrument of actually undermining the international order that it is in our interest to maintain. So giving legitimacy to this effort is not really in Polish interest. There are other ways to maintain the dialogue with Mr. Trump and American administration, for example, by being present at the Munich conference, which is a very important gathering of heads of states, experts, and with participation of Marco Rubio and other American officials. So this is an arena where Poland should actually be very active and present. And it's a shame that President Nawrocki decided not to attend this conference, rather looking to join the company of people like Lukashenko or Orban. I think that's
was that
that's
the choice between one and the other, though?
It is a choice. I mean, theoretically, of course, Mr. Nawrocki could do both things, but he chose to be absent from Munich, and he expressed his will. As we know, this is impossible because of the decisions of Polish government, but Mr. Nawrocki seemed to be eager to join the Peace Council, which, as I'm saying, there is no reason why Poland should pay $1 billion, which we understand would go mainly to reconstruction of Gaza, when we, as Mr. Sikorski, I think, aptly put it, we didn't destroy Gaza, we shouldn't pay for its rebuilding. And that's I think, what this entrance fee is all about. So, yes, Poland should try to make its voice heard in any international forum where we could discuss and present our interests. But this forum, I don't think it will be a place where we can actually discuss and defend our own vision, our own point of view.
Do you think there is a risk that our voice will be drowned out, given that Russia is trying to make certain, let's just say, incentives for the United States to re-engage in economic cooperation? We do know that in the past, Western Europe had made the same mistake, cooperating with Russia, hoping that it will make the regime in Moscow more peaceful and less likely to act aggressively. That didn't work. Do you think that once again, Poland and the countries of the region will be isolated in their idea that Moscow essentially should not be rewarded for acts of aggression by extending one's hand to it and saying, okay, so let's do business again?
Well, I don't see any significant voices that Europe should go back to business as usual with Russia. I mean, these voices are sometimes expressed by some of the right-wing, far-right parties in Europe, but not by the mainstream politicians. So I don't see, I think that Europe, the important European players are speaking with one voice.
What about the business world? Wouldn't companies, that used to be active on the Russian market, apart from, of course, making grand declarations about supporting human rights, be really willing to re-establish that once they have an excuse? Well, there is a peace deal, we can go back.
Well, if there is a peace deal, I think this is up for discussion, even though that seriously, I don't envisage a possibilities of going back to normal relations in Russia, even in the case of, let's say, cessation of hostilities in Ukraine, which is, I think, unlikely. But still, Russians know what they are doing vis-à-vis Mr. Trump and his administration, pushing the buttons that they know he would respond, that is this business-like transactional attitudes. And this is a very dangerous situation, but I don't think that Europe should respond by trying to sort of offer a better deal to Russia, but rather to explain why this is really something that won't work, because I don't see that Russian offers are bona fide. I think that they just negotiating tactics to distract Mr. Trump, and they sort of partly worked so far, because we haven't seen Mr. Trump being really assertive about, for example, forcing Putin and Russians to stop attacking civilians.
So he did introduce sanctions on Russia, but so far he is willing to give Putin the benefit of a doubt, which naturally remains highly controversial, especially from our perspective. Jacek Kucharczyk was our guest today here on TVP World. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your insight.
Thank you.
And I'm Jonasz Rewiński. You're watching TVP World. Please do stay with us.